It comes out in one piece.
I would argue that we certainly are not all created equal.
And now, here's Mark.
How you doing, folks? Mark Harrington here, coming to you live from the University of Florida in Gainesville with the Mark Harrington Show, your radio activist, live on location with the Justice Ride this week in sunny Florida, right in Gainesville, right at the heart of the battle right here at the University of Florida. And folks, if you're not familiar with the Justice Ride, what it is a week-long training program that Created Equal undertakes, where we take students, like the ones you see walking behind me, and we put them in a bus, charter bus, and we train them day in, day out, and then we take them out on college campuses like the one we're at today here at the University of Florida, and we put them in front of people that disagree with them. Our people are all spread out over the Plaza here this afternoon, talking to people who are both pro-life and pro-choice, and the idea is to spark awareness and debate on college campuses where a long time ago it ceased. There isn't a whole lot of debate on campuses these days. And if there is debate, there's one-sided. It's all coming from the pro-choice side. So we come with a countervailing position on these campuses. And as you can see behind me, we have all kinds of debate. We're going to go around the Plaza here in a few minutes and hopefully interview a few of our Justice Riders, as well as if some of the pro-choice advocates may be willing to speak. But before we do that, I want to set the stage. Last night I spoke to our Justice Riders at the campground we're staying at. And the message that I had for them was the theme for this week. And the theme for this week with the Justice Ride is all in. Are we all in? That is the theme for the week here in the Justice Ride. Are we all in? In other words, are we all in? And I say that because I told the Justice Riders last night, we don't want you to be halfway in. We don't want you to be part way in. We need you to be all in. And if you're not willing to be all in, then don't come in at all, because we don't need you. Now, people will say, well, that's kind of harsh, isn't it? No, it's not, because we need to be all in. This is the greatest human rights and justice the world has ever seen, and we need people to be all in. In order to win, we've got to be all in. We can't be halfway in. And so we are raising up a generation of young people who are all in. They're not halfway in, they're all in, and they're going to go in. Unlike the officers in Broward County that refused to go into Parkland High School during the shooting, they weren't all in. And because they weren't all in, they didn't go in. They didn't go into the high school. And I shared that last night with our Justice Riders, that you've got people like that, police officers who are trained to defend human life, trained for the very type of thing that happened at Parkland High School, yet they refuse to go in. And I asked the question, well, why is that? Why would folks that spend their lives training for that very moment to defend innocent life, heard the gunshots, heard the screams, knew people were dying, heard the gun going off, knew people were dying, and yet didn't go inside? They cowered in front of their police car. And I asked the question, why is that? Now, most people say that's because of fear. Yes, that's true. But that isn't the reason. The reason is they are cowards. They were unwilling to do the right thing in spite of their fear. In other words, they lack courage. And that's why I called on our Justice Riders to have the courage to go in. That means we're all in. That means that we're willing to put ourselves in the position between the victim and the victimizer and defend human life and interpose. And that's what we're doing today. We're standing in their stead. We're defending them because they cannot defend themselves and they can't speak for themselves. So here we are at the University of Florida on the Justice Ride. We got about 50 or so of us out here this week traveling the state of Florida. Yesterday, we're at the University of North Florida. Today, University of Florida. And then on Thursday, we're at 2 campuses in South Florida. So here's what I want to do. I mean, the Plaza is starting to fill up. This is during a class break. Hopefully you can hear me over the bell chimes here because it's noon, a little afternoon. So hopefully you can hear me. But what we want to do is kind of go around and maybe get some folks to come on camera with us. So let's see, Sam. Let's see if we might. Let's start with. Come on. let's go on over here. We're going to walk around the plaza. First of all, as you can tell, we have victim photography. We do not do outreach without victim photography. And the reason for that is you need to set the foundation. You need to set the terms of the debate. If you don't use victim photos, then it's up to everybody's opinion. It's going to be our opinion against their opinion. We might have the best arguments, and we do. Logic, philosophy, science, religion, Christianity. But we need to establish the facts first. And the facts are this. Human life begins at conception. A baby's a baby at conception. And abortion is an act of violence. It kills a baby. And that photo right there communicates that, both those issues, or both those truths, at a glance. Come on over here, Sam, if you would. So, again, here's some more photos. As you can see behind me, we have a long line of them right in the middle of the plaza as students are walking by. Of course, we have protesters here. Hopefully, we'll get to them in a minute. Let me see if I can get we can get some people to come on camera here. Again, here's some victim photography here. So let me see. Let's go on over here. Let's see if we can get the pro-choice people. Sam, you notice over here we have the college Democrats right here. College Democrats. You know, it's interesting. I've been telling people that, you know, Democrats are supposedly for the weak, the underprivileged, right, the defenseless. But in the case of abortion, they're lockstep with pro-abortion advocates who believe that a child does not deserve equality. They're about equality on every other issue except this one. Come on. So let's go over here and see if we can get some debates that are going on here. Let's see what's happening here.
You want to talk to me?
Why are you not
Hey,
Tom, how
good to see you.
Good to see you.
It comes down to one simple thing. If what's in that woman's body is a human being, then we would be against killing that baby. We would see it as killing a child. And so we're all for choice in so many areas of life, but there's some things you can't cross the line on. So that's
capitalists aren't human beings, so it's okay to kill them. Thank you.
So that's really the bottom line.
Thank you, sir.
That's really the bottom line. Is it a human being in the woman's womb or not? If it's not, if it's just, you know, like an appendix, or if it's like cancer, get rid of the cancer. If it's a living human being, then it's taking an innocent person's life.
You're clearly older, and if you have a daughter?
I've got 2 daughters and I've got 4 granddaughters.
Okay, so your granddaughters and daughters, let's say they were raped.
Yeah.
Would you feel 100% comfortable saying that they were not allowed to have an abortion?
Oh, I'd say if they were raped, to have a child would be a very hard thing in life. But they would be a victim of a rape.
Would they be allowed to have an abortion?
Well, just a minute. They'd be a victim of a rape, and that'd be a very,
Have you
very...
ever seen the movie Alien, where the aliens like implant the aliens inside of people? If that happened to you, would you want to be killed, or would you want the alien to kill you?
Let me respond to that. Okay.
Dude, I want a serious answer to this
Well,
question.
he's
How
talking
do
to
you
this
feel?
individual right now. We can get to you in a
talk
minute.
more than one person at once.
Really? They're having a conversation. You're kind of
So it'd
interrupting.
be a very, very painful thing.
This is a conversation.
But what I would say to my daughter...
It's pretty painful. I think
I would
the
say...
aliens come out of the chest. That looks really painful, especially that part in the movie. It's really freaky.
I would
First
say,
time you see
I
it,
would
it
say
really makes you jump.
I would
Then,
say,
like the second or third
no,
time.
you're being a little rude here.
Yeah,
We're trying to have a
listen,
conversation.
I don't think I'm being rude. I'm trying to have a conversation.
They're trying to have a
You're
logical
ignoring me.
conversation. This is illogical. Can we go ahead?
I would say to be a victim of a rape is a very, very painful thing. And I'd want to be very sympathetic, empathetic to my daughter. However, I'd say, honey, someone more powerful than you abused you.
It's like
You
the
want to do
aliens
that
are
to
way
your
more
child.
powerful than humans.
You're more powerful than
That's
your
how
child.
they
Now, you were a
overpower
victim
the
of one
alien
thing,
side
but
of
now
them.
do you want to
And then
Why would
turn
you
that
not
around
say-
and
why would you not
victimize your
say
child?
Hybrid. That's what happens in the fourth movie. Is there's a human-alien hybrid, and it becomes sort of like the new hero.
All right. It's
Pregnancy only happens to women, so why should men have a say on what I do with my body?
Yeah, it's a good question. Good
Why should
question.
you have a
and
say
and
on
you know
what I do?
what we would say
'Cause
is
you don't go through it.
what we'd say is normally we wouldn't. But if there's a second body involved, i.e., if that child really is a child, if what's in you it really is a child, then we'd say we're going to stand up for that other body too. We want what's best for both
But
bodies.
that body is in my body.
It's in your body. Yeah.
It's not your body. I'm the one that
I
has
know
to
it's
go
not
through
my
the 9
body,
months
but
of
you know what?
pregnancy. I'm the one that has to
Can
go
I-
through the morning. I'm the one that has
I
to go
realize.
through raising it.
All right,
And
so
we're
let's-
sympathetic to that. But you know what? Again, I'm going to say this. Well, I'm going to say this.
Have
Somebody
a say
sewed
on
a
what
rat
happens in
inside
my
you,
body.
and rats had souls.
Well, we're talking, yo, I get it. You're being that's what we're talking about.
No,
Babies.
I'm just trying to fuck up the mic.
Babies.
Yeah. He's like one of these guys who doesn't.
I get it. I just
Rational
feel like
conversation
if you have
doesn't
a
work.
penis, you don't have a say.
No, I'm literally just trying to fuck up their propaganda video by messing with the audio.
I feel
Well,
like
what
you
if
don't
the
have a say.
child? What if the child being aborted
Because I feel like
has a penis? Does he have a say?
no, because he's in my body, and he doesn't
And
even
so
have
what
a
if the
penis
child
yet by the
being a-
time he's aborted.
Well, that's not true.
Now,
That's not usually true.
every conversation I've had with people who are handing out flyers before, their argument always boils down to premarital sex and not actually abortion. And I bring up the fact: would you be willing? Because you know that premarital sex is going to occur whether you think it's right and I think it's wrong, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Everybody says that they're not willing to hand out condoms, which would prevent abortions from happening in the first place. How is that logical?
Well,
Or taking Plan B or IUDs.
yeah. Well, again, we would see those are abortions. So we were not wild about that stuff at all. We think that'd be wrong. You know,
But they prevent it. So we can't even
if-
prevent
I-
the fact
in
of having
an
an abortion.
ideal world, I would say abortion is the symptom, the outworking of so many people getting pregnant who don't want to have a baby because they don't have a family yet. They don't want to take care of it. So yes, we
Why don't you relate it to in case they hand out condoms then? If your goal is to prevent abortions from happening, and you're not going to change your opinion, or
here's how I'd
you
put
guys
it.
could argue all day.
Here's
Why
how I'd
would you
put it.
not do something that'd be proactive in actually reducing abortions without getting into these arguments?
Here's how I do it. We don't want to make condoms illegal. We're not trying to stop them. We think that when the government or the schools are handing them out, it's giving tacit approval to that behavior. And we think the behavior is wrong. But I wouldn't be against someone if they're going to be having sex, premarital sex, having access to it. We think it sends a bad message if the schools the one handing it out.
The state.
Good to see you.
We'll talk to you.
Okay.
All right, so here we are at the University of Florida. Tom Short, by the way, is an itinerant preacher that goes around the campuses around the state of Florida and elsewhere around the country. Tom Short Campus Ministries. And Tom knows the arguments pretty well there, as you could tell, talking to this student. And that's happening all around us right now. As you can see here, we've got conversations here going on. Let me see. I want to interview the pro-choice people, if they will be willing to be interviewed. Let's go over here. Ma'am, can I ask you why you're holding that sign?
Oh, no, thank you. I don't want to be filmed. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, come on over here. Can we ask you guys a couple questions? Would you mind? Why not?
No,
How's come?
because we're not here for you. We're here for
Well,
the women who
our excuse me. Our audience is probably the very people you'd like to be speaking to, because it's Facebook. We're live on Facebook. There are probably thousands of people watching. You have an opportunity to share your point of view. I'm going to be fair and civil with you. I'm just asking why you might have your sign. Would you like to speak with us, ma'am? Would you mind?
No.
You don't want to? Okay, why not? We're here to have conversation. Propaganda, is this Facebook? You know, Facebook is not propaganda. It's an open forum, right? You guys, what about you, sir? Would you like to be interviewed?
Oh, I have a terrible accent, so you will not get
I don't know. I can understand.
I like your sign the best, though.
What about you, ma'am? Would you be willing to share about why you think abortion should be legal? You don't want to be interviewed either? What about you, man? Why not? Why does anyone want to defend your positions other than holding signs? Why wouldn't you want to engage with people that disagree with you?
Because the only ones arguing against abortion are men.
Really?
They don't have a say.
Is that
They
right?
don't have a say.
Really?
Or like psycho 40-year-old Christian women who are reported.
Psycho 40-year Christian women. I see.
You stop following me with that thing?
No, I was just wondering why you guys don't want to, why you wouldn't want to engage in civil conversation. Maybe you would, sir.
Maybe I would.
What? I'll be fair with you. Why are you here today?
To support the point of view, so you understand.
Okay.
You have yours, it seems.
I do. So your point of view is we strike for reproductive freedom, full access and no coercion, womenstrike.org. I'm with her. Sorry?
The last one is just to make my point. I'm with
Okay. So you support women's reproductive freedom. What does that mean to you?
It means a completely free choice in the sense that you can indeed choose when and where you are able to reproduce.
Okay.
So imagine that life is actually extremely complicated nowadays. Probably the structure that you are that were in place a couple of times is not what we want nowadays, and we have also to provide the means to sustain woman's position in life, careers, things, everything that a woman has the right to choose.
Okay.
So it
So
means
let me ask you this, because you heard them say that men, I'm a man, although today you would never know necessarily, who knows, right? I could be transitioning, I could be in a continuum here, but I am a man, and they say that a man should not have a right or a say. If you're pro-life and you're a man, you shouldn't be able to speak to that issue. That's their point of view. That's why they refuse to speak to me. But yet you're a man and you're pro-choice. So why do you believe you have a right? Do you think men that are pro-life should have the right to speak on behalf of the issue of abortion?
so. The point is more historical. In this case, they are a little bit against more the patriarchal heritage.
I'm sorry?
Patriarchal. How do you say that? Patriarchal. I have a French accent, a terrible French accent.
Patriarchal. Okay.
Patriarchal.
Okay.
So that's kind of just being pissed off by.
All right. So they would say if you're pro-life, you're a patriarch. You want to force women to, not have babies.
It's
It's
linked.
okay. So if you're pro-choice and you're a male, you can have a point of view. Because you're not patriarchal, I assume.
Yes.
Is that it?
You are assuming a historical position. That's why it's more complicated.
All
That's why they don't like this position, for sure. Now, of course, you are defending your point of view. I'm defending mine.
Yeah, and why does gender doesn't have a position, right? Arguments don't have genders, right?
If we are really an equal
It's the
society,
argument will rise or fall based on the logic.
If we are really an equal society, indeed, everybody should just talk and say, "Oh, I think this is right or not right."
Right.
But at the end,
So the person, because that's called an ad hominem. Have you ever heard of that?
no,
An ad hominem logical fallacy is attacking the individual or the person based on who they are, male, female, black, white, what have you. That's called an ad hominem logical fallacy, which is what they're saying. They're saying if you're pro-life and you're a man, you can't have a say on abortion. But if you're pro-choice and you're a man, you can. That's what we call an ad hominem. That's a logical fallacy and shouldn't be used as an argument. So the argument is abortion something that should be legal?
the point is yes. So now the question is, it is a woman's right or not? They have the right to do it or not? And I believe, yes, they have the right to do it.
And why is that? Because you do you not see the preborn as a human or not? Because that's really what it boils down to, right? Doesn't it?
Even if it was, let's go following this logic. Even if it was, I do not believe that, for example, here the society
You don't believe they're human beings?
No, I haven't said that. I'm following your logic.
Right, okay.
Even if they are,
Okay.
I don't believe that this society is like offering all the chance for this. Most of the women that need this abortion, they are not ready. They are not ready to give a really beautiful
All right,
life
so
to-
you wouldn't argue based on science or biology that they're human. You're just saying women should have the right to do it, irrespective of whether they're human or not. Am I putting words in your mouth?
I'm talking about society. So at the end, it's going to be a problem of society.
Okay.
We agree?
So unwanted. I mean, you're saying this is a crisis pregnancy.
Yes.
Baby's
Unwanted.
not wanted. You think the woman
Which
should have
kind
the
of
right
life-
to abort?
So you are saying, okay, your point of view is, oh, we are stopping a life. I say, which kind of life
Killing.
are you? Which kind of life are you giving to them? Right. So I'm more in the point that it's torturing a person to give a life on a bad life to
Okay.
someone.
What do
So
you
you
think?
prefer torture or stop a life?
Okay.
That's my
What do you
question.
think of the photos? So, I just want to. What do you think about those generally? Because a lot of people just they're upset about the photos. Sometimes they'll say that they're not real, that and all that. What do you think about the use of the photos as far as an argument? I know you're pro-choice, I understand that, but what do you think about the use of those?
Well, I think in this case you're using like the typical propaganda style,
Okay.
using in the shocking pictures.
They're shocking, right?
Yes.
Abortion's shocking, actually, but yes, true. I mean, it is a medical procedure that dismembers a baby. We have to agree on what's happening here.
And the 2 weeks, so the size, this thing, as you can see, it goes just in a little tube. And
Right.
For example, there are a problem of proportions on this picture.
Mm-hmm.
The feet is the size of the baby.
Oh, that's because there's two different types of abortion pictured in that
Okay,
sign.
so there are
So
some
as
things
you
that are a
see,
little bit weird.
no, it says
Usually it's a
first and
tube
second trimester, 6 and 13 weeks. So
Yeah.
the hands are a 13 week. The baby there is the actual fetus there is a 6. That's why it doesn't look proportional.
Well, it's any organ. At this moment, you are stopping something in procreation. It starts having a shape. That's normal. But you cannot exactly say, oh, it's live there, or there.
Why not?
Oh,
Are you a student here?
Yeah, well, I'm actually a postdoc.
You're a pastor.
A postdoc.
Oh, okay.
Postdoctorate.
You know, I think aren't we beyond the point where we believe that human life doesn't begin at conception at some point other than that? Because science basically confirms. I mean, we're beyond this point now. Science confirms that life begins somewhere, and it begins at fertilization, at sperm-egg fusion. Okay, we all should agree that the point at which we ascribe rights of personhood, when we say we should protect the life, not protect the life, that's what's up for debate, is it not? Because we really should. These are human beings, are they not? I mean, come on. We're all adults here. They are. I mean, they are. Let's all agree they are. And now, based on that, let's make our argument for or against.
So, still, I will not agree at this point.
How can you not? I mean, you have arms, legs, feet, toes, intestines.
This kind of description.
Well, I mean, it's not. This is a human. It's not some other kind of a pig, a cat, dog, or anything like that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So you are bringing to the still accepting. Oh, this is already a human.
Right.
Yes. I'm still not confirming this is already a human, and I'm still not. In the sense that, as I say, there are many things that bring really to the creation of a real person.
And what are those?
Oh, in between functional brain.
Okay, sentience, right?
Yeah.
Awareness.
Yes.
Because that's usually where a lot of people say, well, that's where I would say that a human being becomes a person, is that the ability to understand that they exist. That's sentience. But why should we choose that arbitrary point to ascribe those rights? Why can't we choose some other arbitrary point like heartbeat, brainwave activity, these kinds of things, which are also, obviously.
Some people that has the brain destroyed. And as how do you define, how they call it, a deaf?
Brain deaf.
Brain deaf.
Yeah.
You have all the functions working.
Right. Understood.
Alive or not alive?
Yeah. Brain dead? No, not. It's functionally dead.
So.
Brain alive. Brain alive at this stage.
It's starting.
Huh?
Starting. So we are in the same.
No, starting. At 6 weeks.
We define the death or the life at a certain point, but we are.
I agree that would be an arbitrary point to which we would ascribe rights of person.
There is a safety point, which is the 14 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree with it if the majority agree.
At 14 weeks, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, you just outlawed about half of all the abortions right there, so we appreciate that. I'm going to have to move on. What is your name, sir?
Oh, Philip.
Philip?
Yes.
All right. Good to meet you. My name's Mark. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you standing for what you believe in and coming out into the public square and debating this issue with those who may not share your point of view. Thank you. Let's move around here. All right. Let's see if. Oh, here we are. Oh, you'll talk to you'll talk to other people, but you won't go on camera with the whole Facebook audience. That's interesting. It is. That's interesting. See, this is what we find on the pro-abortion side. You don't want debate. You just want to try to shut it down. And by doing that, unfortunately, you won't win that way. I can tell you that. So, all right, let's go on over here. Let's see. Do we have any others? Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one.
Nobody wanted that at all.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good. What's your name?
I'm Patrick.
Patrick. Are you a UF student?
I am.
Good. Are you pro-life or pro-choice? Or you're unsure? You're on the fence?
I'm on the fence. Here's what I want.
Okay.
We need more sexual education.
Okay.
Like,
we don't have enough sexual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if we could get to the point where this doesn't become a problem anymore, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that teenagers generally or young adults don't know how to get birth control, condoms? They don't know where to get that?
Well, when I was...
when you say, well, I guess I should ask you this. What do you mean by sex education?
Okay, so when I was in middle school and elementary school, or not elementary, high school.
Did you go to a public school? Or
yeah, I went to public school.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was talked about. I think maybe like 6th grade was, and I went to several different schools in several different states. So
yeah.
Navy rep.
Yeah.
And, sorry. And the way it was talked about, it was almost like, you know, you're too young almost.
Too young to be educated on it?
I mean, they can barely say penis without giggling.
Okay. But my point is, for those who are sexually active, right, which is your generation, generally speaking, do you think that people know where to get a condom?
I'm sure people do know.
Okay.
But they just don't.
They don't know how to put a condom on?
I don't. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't.
You don't? You've never understood how that works? Really?
Despite my best efforts, I still don't know how to.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I mean, come on.
I'm deadly serious with you. I still don't know how to.
In 2018, with all that's out there on the internet,
you would think.
No, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, if you're,
but it's not something I've ever thought like, oh yeah, let me.
I mean, is that just because you're, generally have a sexual ethic of like you don't believe that we should be having sex before marriage, or why is that? Huh?
I don't have sex. People don't.
Okay.
I struggle to talk to girls and all that good stuff.
All right.
Like,
okay. So that's
just not something that.
So okay, generally speaking, then. Do you think your generation has trouble finding out where they can get contraception and birth control? Because we hear this all the time. There's not enough education. And I would submit to you, there's plenty. People know where they can get condoms. They know how to use them. The problem is it fails often, doesn't prevent ovulation, doesn't prevent pregnancy, and therefore they get pregnant, and this is what happens, right? So it's not the education that's the issue, really. It's because they're having sex. Exactly. They're having sex, and birth control doesn't always work. And therefore, they have to find a backup measure. This is birth control, by the way. It's just abortion. It's a means of birth control. So we would say that that's really not the problem, is it?
Maybe it's not the problem. Maybe the problem really is that
there's having sex like barnyard animals. How about that? I mean, isn't that the problem?
That's an issue too. But then there's not funding for it.
Funding for what?
For birth control stuff.
You think the government? Okay, again.
Okay,
most college students can't afford a condom.
Okay, my high school brother.
They have to have the government pay for that?
No, okay, my high school brother doesn't have a job. He has no means. So he doesn't have a job. He has no means to go out and buy condoms.
You know how much condoms cost?
I don't.
I mean, I don't either, really, but they're cheap. I mean, they're just. I mean, it's maybe $1, right? I mean, so he doesn't have $1.
Maybe like those cheap ones that you find in like the gas station.
Okay.
But I'm talking like, all right.
So why should the government support it? When I just explained to you that it's failed birth control that leads to abortion.
It's not
often.
Using birth control. They can't afford it.
A lot of most of the pregnancies occur because of failed birth control.
So then maybe we should do research into birth control.
Many times it happens that way. And I'm sorry.
Maybe we should do research into birth control.
Well, I mean, when you talk birth control, there are two types. All right. There's the type that prevents ovulation. Okay. You know what that is, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
Right. And that way it prevents pregnancy altogether because it never happens. And then there's one that's called an abortifacient, which actually stops the pregnancy by changing the lining of the uterus. Those would be your common birth control pill, for an example. Other types of things like Plan B and others, high dosages of female hormone, that changes the woman's lining of the uterus, and then the baby is expelled with the woman's period. That's the commonest form, the most common form of birth control. That's we call it an abortifacient. That means it has an abortive property to it. It's actually aborting the baby early in pregnancy, very, very early. Okay. And so we say that's not a solution either, because you're just aborting children. Now, the women often don't even realize it because they're just passing the child in their menstrual period. So our question is, what other? Let's put aside the sex education, okay, government funding. What is the solution to this other than those things? If you had an idea.
There isn't.
Really?
At that point, there wouldn't be.
Why not?
People will still do this. So
well,
say you ban abortion, correct?
Okay.
we've all seen the coat hanger image, right?
Right. A very clever rhetorical device used by pro-choicers, which, by the way, wasn't often used prior to 1973. It just wasn't. It's a clever device to use to make it look like
something similar to that.
Yes.
The do-it-yourself.
Okay, do-it-yourself. Let's say we go back to those days, right?
Yeah. More people are going to die because of that.
Okay, that's a good question. Good question. So, but here's the quintessential question we need to answer is abortion morally evil or wrong or not? And if it is, which is our position, then you don't just say, oh, well, people are going to do it anyway, let's keep it legal. We don't take that position with other things like rape, burglary, right? Armed robbery. We say, oh, no, it's morally wrong, therefore we should have a law that punishes those who do it. So we have to ask the question and answer the question, is abortion a moral evil or not? Are we killing a human being or not? And if we are, outlawing it is the right thing to do. And what people do based on that, it's murder. I mean, that's the thing. We have laws against that.
All right,
so what do you think about that?
Well, then you're neglecting people still. You're
neglecting. Who are you neglecting?
You are neglecting the women that endanger themselves trying to perform this operation on themselves.
Well, that's like saying, we ought to make rape more safe for men. Because in a rape, men could get beat up. I mean, a woman's going to fight back. And he might get punched, get black eye, might, lose his teeth, break his nose. We don't make that safe for men because we understand that rape is a moral evil. And so the issue is abortion a moral evil or not? And we're here showing the pictures because we believe it is, obviously. I think the pictures, yeah.
It's an evil.
Yes.
We're not going to try and...
No, I'm not. Go ahead, finish.
So it's an evil.
Yes.
We'll say...
Will you agree it's an evil?
Yes, it's an evil.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll also say shooting...
Lesser of three evils, maybe?
Yeah, maybe it's the lesser.
Because the worst or higher evil, I guess if you were, is that women will be forced to have a pregnancy they don't want or do unsafe things in trying to abort their children.
I'm more concerned about the unsafe things.
All right. So you're more concerned with a woman's right to have an abortion safe.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about safety.
Okay. But not the safety of the child. You're not worried about that so much. Why not? And then we'll finish this because I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Why aren't you concerned?
I mean,
when you look at the photos and all, what do you think when you see them?
Maybe I'm dehumanized to it because it looks like ET.
Okay.
Maybe that's what my issue is I look at this, I'm like, kind of looks like ET.
Okay.
And
well, what is a human being supposed to look like at 7 weeks?
Looks like supposed to look like ET.
Okay.
All these embryos.
Okay, it's just
like
because
ET.
it looks like that in your mind.
I mean, that's why
that's
we eat
who
eggs,
we
right?
were, or that's who we were at that stage. I mean, that's what a human being looks like early on in pregnancy, right? So you're saying you're just desensitized to the whole thing, pretty much, right?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
And it's because you don't see the babies being killed every day. Yeah. If they were lined up on the University of Florida and we killed 20 children, which is probably at least as many will die in Central Florida today, I think you would think differently. Would you?
Perhaps.
If you saw them shot with a gun, boom, in their head.
Nobody knows how they're going to react to that.
I mean, if abortionists use guns instead of the instruments that they use to perform abortions, would you act differently? I mean, if they used guns to kill the preborn, would you act differently then? As a means to killing them, in other words. Because the reason why people are desensitized because they don't see it. It's out of sight, out of mind. Happens down this building, down the street. We don't know where, when. It doesn't matter to us. We don't see them being killed. That's why we're showing them. Because we're trying to bring a face to them. Yeah, actually make them who they are, which is real human beings. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So, well, I appreciate. What's your name?
Patrick.
Patrick. What year are you in?
I'm a junior.
Junior. What are you studying?
History.
History. All right. Well, God bless you. Good luck in your studies.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you're enjoying the debate a little bit with us.
Enjoy it. I like
Okay, good.
brain.
All right. Well, welcome. Obviously, this is the public forum. This is the marketplace of ideas. That's what the university's. Exactly. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's see, Sam. How long have we been going here? Hey.
I start preaching here sometime.
Oh, anytime you want. You know. Tom Short, my good friend here for the campus ministry, is going to start preaching the gospel, which we believe as well that it's a central part of the message has to be because we're all made in the image of God. Ultimately, every decision based on whether it's evil, whether it's right, wrong, morality, those kinds of things, have to come to that question of, is there a God? Are we created equal? And is there forgiveness in Jesus Christ? So Tom is going to do his thing here and preach. Obviously, we have conversations all day long with people about the gospel and about Jesus and right and wrong and all that kind of stuff. That's what this whole forum leads to every single day we're out. So anyway, we're at the University of Florida again. We've got some protesters here. By the way, they kind of left. Maybe I ran them off. I don't know. It's interesting. So anyway, we're at the University of Florida today, Justice Ride. Today we'll be here at Turlington Plaza. This is the center of campus. Tomorrow we'll be here as well. We're also on the North Green, which is near the library. So we've got two groups of folks out here training them on the job. That's what we do. We take people out, give them a little bit of information, put them in front of people that disagree with them, and allow them to learn as they go. They learn on their feet. That's what we believe. That's why we do the Justice Ride. So we'll be coming to you live later in the week at the Florida Gulf University in Fort Myers. So pray for our Justice Riders that we'd have productive conversations with students as they pass by our display about the meaning of life, about protecting the preborn, and most importantly, about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Thanks for tuning in. Mark Harrington here again, coming to you live from the University of Florida. God bless you. God bless you. God bless America. We'll see you next time.